Well, hello everybody. Welcome once again to the Michael Tobin Show. I'm Michael Tobin, and I am your single sole host for the show. And I want you to stay tuned for my new format, part of Acceleration Network, that I was so fortunate and blessed to be a part of. I want you to stay tuned because I'm going to be having some very hard hitting, cutting edge people on my show. They'll be calling in and I'll be talking to them. They could be generals, they could be politicians, they could be athletes, they could be teachers, you name it. And we're going to be talking about the things that matter. Today, I want to take a look at Colin Kaepernick's Take a Knee. Not everything that you've been hearing about, but something that I have noticed as after a couple of decades of studying the Constitution, politics, the scriptures, being involved in various volunteer efforts across the country, first responder disasters, Chaplain with Billy Graham Association, living with and helping to feed homeless in downtown San Diego, prison fellowship, Chuck Colson's prison fellowship, going to jails and prisons and work camps, ministering to inmates. There's so many things that I've been doing just in the past 25 years that I was a radio station host at a Christian AM radio station for 5 years. And the same years, I was part of a international Bible school in Virginia. I mean, just in the past couple of decades, the things that I've been involved with, it's just that you see so much, you hear so much, and you're involved with so much that, I don't know, I'm amazed. I'm amazed. But anyway, something that I noticed about the knee that athletes are being encouraged to take. I want to get into that, and you don't want to miss it. And I also I want to talk about the nation of Syria and how devastating it will be to the United States from lack of care or lack of consideration or lack of understanding from our voters. I want to make the point that our nation will be in worse trouble now because of lack of understanding on who to vote for, as we will be in more trouble then, depending on who gets elected, than we are even now because of lack of understanding and who we voted for twice these past 8 years. And I want to talk about God's curses. A lot of people tend to be on a one-track mind when they talk about God's curses or God's punishment. But first, I want to throw in a plug for San Diego Pet Lovers Handbook. Do you own a pet business? Do you own a business that has to do with pets and animals? San Diego has a Pet Lovers Handbook, and it doesn't matter if you're in San Diego or in any other city or state across the country. If you know people in San Diego, you may be able to offer your services through distance as well, just by publishing it in somebody else's different region's publication. So the San Diego Pet Lovers Handbook will soon be in the process of updating their 2017-2018 handbook, and are pleased that you may make your business a part of their resource guide. They're proud to be able to refer you if you are interested, and will continue to do their very best to promote you to the pet owners of this county, San Diego. Just to remind you, on how these are used. The handbooks are distributed free through animal shelters, humane societies, animal and emergency clinics, libraries, schools, visitor centers, pet-friendly apartment complexes, special events, dog walks, all military housing, trainers and groomers, pet supply stores, pet rescue organizations, chamber of commerce, realtors, boarding kennels, pet sitters, pet-friendly services, cafes, hotels, adoption sites, and the Del Mar Fair. And they're even on the internet and the radio and television. So if you have a pet-friendly or a pet business and you would like to advertise in this handbook that is distributed throughout the year at all these places, as they run out, they are restocked everywhere they're at. Go ahead and call Richard G. White at 760-547-5761 if you would like for your pet business to be included in the San Diego Pet Lovers Handbook for 2017 and 2018. Richard's, and tell him that Mike referred you. Go ahead and give him a call again. The phone number is 760-547-5761. So my first subject is taking a knee. I want to read to you from retired Army Colonel Alan B. West, an article that he wrote titled, "Hey NFL, let me tell you what take a knee really means." And after I read this article, I want to tell you what I have observed. And after observing what I observed, I thought to myself, I haven't really read too many articles. I've heard a lot of it. I've heard all of the rational comments, pro and against. And I'm sure you have. But this is brilliant right here. Alan B. West, he writes, It was a very interesting weekend for football, and one that offered a contrast for me and one of my best friends. On Saturday night, it was the battle in Bristol between my Tennessee Volunteers and the Virginia Tech Hokies. My dive pirates buddy, Marlene, a Hokie, and I had fun joking with each other in Cozumel about the game. However, there was a moment that gave us both, former Army officers, a prime moment of pride. It was when country music star Jennifer Nettles stepped up to sing the national anthem before a record crowd of 156,990 at the Bristol Motor Speedway. The huge flag was unfurled on the field, and looking up into the stands were the placards that depicted the letters USA and our national colors. The camera panned the crowd, and there were veterans and the cadets of Virginia Tech rendering the hand salute. You could hear the crowd singing in unison. A great moment. That's how it's done. And after a horrible first quarter, the Vols went on to win the game. But for that special moment, the largest ever audience to see a college football game was united as one. E pluribus unum. And as I scroll down to the next part, I mind you that Colonel Alan B. West is a black American. And we all know what Kaepernick's beef is about. And it's not hard to see and to find people of the color that Kaepernick is claiming. He's actually Middle Eastern descent. But be that as it may, as reported by the NBC Miami, the decision by 4 Miami Dolphins players to kneel during the national anthem before the kickoff against Seattle Sunday is being met with both support and backlash, including for one supermodel who is engaged to another professional athlete. Arian Foster, Michael Thomas, Jelani Jenkins, and Kenny Stills took a knee just before the anthem began. The 4 held their hands over their hearts as the anthem played and stood immediately at its conclusion. I choose to get involved to see if I could create change, raise awareness, and I want to make it clear that there is no disrespect to the military or to police officers. I'm not about that. I love everyone, said Jenkins. I would like to keep moving forward in the right direction with everybody. Equal rights, equal opportunity. From my position, it doesn't seem that it's happening. That's why I took a stand. The Dolphins got support from one very important person, their boss, team owner, Stephen Ross. I don't think it was any lack of respect, Ross said. I think everybody here, our team, our whole organization, respects the flag and what it stands for, the soldiers and everything. These guys are really making a conversation of something that's a very important topic in this country, and I'm 100% supportive of them. Kate Upton, who was engaged to Detroit Tigers pitcher Justin Verlander, specifically condemned the player's actions as more horrific because they occurred on the 15th anniversary of the September 11 attacks. Here's what I'd like to have a simple discussion with these players who are taking this action over social justice, equal rights, and equal opportunity. I'd like to know what specific policy they believe in the United States of America promotes to hinder their ideals. As a matter of fact, I'd like these football players to explain what social justice, equal rights, and equal opportunity actually mean. I grew up in the inner city, so perhaps they can articulate what about America kept me or restrains anyone from achieving their dream. What is it institutionally about America that supports the protest? I'm quickly tiring of idiotic and asinine general statements which are nothing more than trite sound bites that someone is regurgitating. And for the Dolphins owner to excuse this disrespect, and yes, that's what it is, doggone, I wish former U.S. Navy SEAL Admiral McCraven and Chancellor of the University of Texas system was the commissioner of the NFL. We shared his letter, this directive, with you here. What is it about these privileged, perfumed princes that make them believe there is a national problem with America and the ability of individuals to pursue their own happiness? And Colonel Allen continues, he says, I suppose I need to send my message to Colin Kaepernick, to the Miami Dolphins, and spare me that we are not disrespecting our military line. That is so weak. Yes, gentlemen, you are disrespecting the very people who defend the ability for you to make millions of dollars as they stand upon freedom's ramparts. And sadly, to do so on the 15th remembrance of 9/11, when brave first responders lost their lives, and consider the many members of our armed services who lost their lives and carry permanent scars ever since. To Mrs. Foster, Thomas, Jenkins, and Stills, imagine if the Minutemen did as you did and took a knee at Lexington Green and Concord Bridge. What if our young American Army decided to take a knee at Valley Forge? What if the defenders at Fort McHenry just took a knee when they were being bombarded by the British Navy? Should we have taken a knee in the Meuse, Argonne, Belleau Woods, at Pearl Harbor, Midway, Normandy, Bastogne, Chosin Reservoir, La Drang Valley, Hughes City, Khe Sanh, Fallujah, Kandahar? Yes, your action is disrespectful to our men and women in uniform, and a disturbing statement that you don't believe it is just further demonstrates your ignorance in not understanding what drives and motivates us. Those who have served, we who do not take a knee on America. Colonel West continues, let me explain something. We do have a saying in the military, take a knee. Normally, that order is given when troops are tired and need a break, or that action happens when troops are pausing to observe, orient, and decide the manner by which they will move forward against the enemy. Regardless, taking a knee in the military is just to pause before Charlie Mike continuing the mission. Let me share some pictures of brave heroes taking a knee. And Colonel Allen West has some pictures of some soldiers leaning on one knee with heavy backpacks on their backs, and they're taking a rest before they continue walking. Now look at these men and tell me if you still believe what you did has any semblance of honor and character. We fight to support your freedom of expression. However, we find dishonorable this ill-conceived action you've taken. So long as you express yourself, I'll feel free to express myself, especially since 4 generations of men in my family never took a knee when our country called. We stood, and as Isaiah said in chapter 6, verse 8, here am I, send me. And that's how Colonel Allen West concluded his letter. So I thought I would research on who it was. I guess one of the coaches of the 49ers said, "How about take a knee?" And he probably had to explain what take a knee was. And we all know what Tim Tebow does. Uh, that's not taking a knee. That's him bowing before the Lord. Now they call it the Tim Tebow. They call it the Tebow. Um, but what I find very curious, and I want to read what I wrote about it so I can say it perfectly. Take a knee. They were convinced to do something. Colin Kaepernick, his teammate on his team, now 4 players on the Dolphins, all these people who are now taking a knee. They were convinced to do something as they argue they cannot be coerced. Instead of being denied their rights to sit, they actually forfeited their rights by adhering to a suggestion that they take a knee. So they're actually forfeited their rights by doing that, and they don't realize it. They're such fools. They don't even know they're fools. And the Miami Dolphins owner is just as much of a fool. Fools from the bottom all the way up. They could have just sat down. But what they're arguing on what they don't have to do, they were then convinced. It just doesn't make sense. Anyways, that's my observation. So next I want to talk about Syria. And after I talk about Syria, I want to talk about God's national curses, personal punishments that people are afraid of. But first, I want to plug in one more thing. If you know anybody in San Diego who has had water damage in their apartments or condominium or home, call them up and tell them about CCS carpet cleaning services. Who is CCS carpet cleaning services? They're a company that is centrally located in the heart of San Diego County. They rent dehumidifiers, carpet blowers, and air cleaners, HEPA air cleaners. And they also come and clean your floors. They clean tile grout, they clean bare floors, and they clean carpeted floors. They'll clean your floors in your home. They'll also clean your furniture. So tell somebody, if you know somebody who've experienced water damage, flood damage, or they just need their floors cleaned, or their grout cleaned, or their carpets cleaned, call CCS Services and tell them that Mike sent you. You could call them at 858-676-0800. That's 858-676-0800. So now I want to talk about Syria. We are being lied to on who it is that's in Syria, and I just want to briefly explain this right now. Through the negotiation efforts of Russia, the U.S. Arab-Israeli-Syria war room in Jordan has been dissolved. And you could find that, you can Google dissolve U.S. Arab-Israeli-Syria war room and read the article from Debco File. And this is what I said about it. This is good, but Israel needs to refocus their efforts from being against Assad and aim them against the terrorists from the African continent and surrounding Middle Eastern countries. Albeit the Syrian government antagonizes Israel as well, but they need to stop that also. But there's so much involved here that it just boggles the mind. What boggles the mind even more is what we're being told by our mainstream media. So Assad is the sole surviving Muslim president in all of the Middle East who is not against Christians. And the Bible shows God as wanting Israel and Syria as allies. But that just makes too much sense. So now Israel and the U.S. screwed themselves out of influence due to their actual support of literal terrorists and even ISIS. And now Turkey will have an excuse to go alone and fulfill yet more Bible prophecy and invade and destroy Damascus, which is the world's oldest continuously existing ancient city, which has never been destroyed. And then onward to attacking Israel, as also is foretold to be ransacked in the end times, in various locations of the Old and New Testaments, all with the help of their so-called freedom fighters from everywhere except Syria, who they falsely claim as fighting for Syrian freedom. From the article, if President Barack Obama submits to Moscow's demand, our sources point out it would mean curtains for Israeli, Saudi, Qatar, and Emirate officials participating in the Amman, Jordan Command. They would be sent home and their governments would find themselves out in the cold in relation to coordinated Russia, U.S., and Jordanian operations in Syria. According to Debka Files intelligence sources, Israel and Gulf Arab military chiefs have concluded that Moscow's move has the opposite goal of a ceasefire and is in fact designed to clear the way for a major Russian-Syrian operation to seize Daraa, the main town of southern Syria, and drive all anti-Assad forces out of this region. So I really respect and value this publication, Debka File. But you could see the way their wording is that they're emphatically soliciting an opinion that what Russia is up to is wrong or bad. And I want to tell you that I am on Russia's side on this, because what this is all about that we're not being told is the nation of Qatar has the largest natural gas oil fields in the world. President Putin in Russia and President Assad in Syria have an agreement that Russia will pipeline natural gas all the way from Qatar up through the nations that are between Syria and Qatar, and then go west to the Mediterranean Sea. So they need to be able to do that, and that's what this is all about. The United States and Saudi Arabia are prohibiting the ability of Russia to have that partnership with Qatar and Syria. So that is what this is all about, and it is so important to the United States and Saudi Arabia to not allow that to happen. That Saudi Arabia has offered to purchase billions of dollars worth of product, including military product, but billions of dollars worth of product that would exceed any profits that Russia will gain from the purchase and sell to other nations of this natural gas. What a sweet deal is that? But here we are in the position. It's the principle of the matter. Um, we're hell bent against allowing our ally, Russia. Russia has been our ally for a long, long time. We don't want them to have that access, that ability. And I won't say anything else about that because I don't have the words in me to say it. It takes a lot of research and time to get your talking points and all that stuff. But in a nutshell, that's what it's all about. It's about the reserves. It's about the natural gas that Qatar has. Um, but anyways, depending on who our next president is going to be, we could go to war with Iran, or we can get deeper into the Syrian conflict. I believe that with Trump, we will not get into the Syrian conflict. With Hillary or any Democrat or any other Republican, we will. Iran, Hillary Clinton has already mentioned her opposition to the nation of Iran. Iran is another nation that Israel and Iran are against each other. With Trump, I don't see us getting involved in that because we need to focus on what we need to focus on in this country. So people were warned before Obama was first elected for the 2008 presidency. And people were warned for the 2012 presidency, and yet he was still elected both times. And it's because people did not see the importance of who not to vote. They just didn't see it. And the people that were able to convince them chose not to focus on that as much as they could have. They didn't try. They really didn't try. Now, the same people who didn't try, they are trying tooth and nail. And I don't know if it's too late, but they're trying tooth and nail to not allow Hillary Clinton be elected. I wish that they would have tried as hard against Obama. But it just baffles the mind. I can't understand it other than what a lot of people are saying, that the so-called powers that be are in control. So now, what about God's curses? My son and I was talking about God's curses, and he says, God's going to punish the United States, because we were talking about the situations such as Kaepernick and people across the country refusing to honor the flag that they're actually born in and citizens of. Their parents are citizens of, and or citizens and born here, or they could be children of immigrants, but they're now citizens. How could you be in the United States and not support the nation that you're in? And there are things like abortion that people are saying that God's curse is on our country. So I told him, I says, no, God's curse is not on our country because of that. What God's curse would be on our country would be for the citizens to willingly support those who they know their issues are openly, blatantly defiant against God. And I explained to him that the Bible says that we did not know sin until we were told what sin was. So when a person is committing things that the Bible says is sin, even if a person is told something that is sin, if they don't believe it's sin, they just don't believe it. They're not willfully defying God by living a drunken life, living a murderous life, living a thieving life. They know that there's some wrong in it, but they don't. They draw the line where they don't think that God really cares about it. And if you don't think that God cares about something, that's because that you don't understand why He doesn't care about something and why He does care about something. So when the nation just does not care about, say, if our nation doesn't care about abortion, then we can willingly expect lack of blessings or punishment or even curse. So we're not cursed. This nation is not cursed. In fact, this nation is more blessed than it is not blessed. But right now, the amount of lack of blessing is increasing, and the lack of blessing is decreasing because more and more of our citizens are just giving up, throwing in the towel, and not caring. So we need to be diligent. We need to not be weary in well doing. So I just want to end this broadcast with a couple of scriptures. Those who I love, I reprove and discipline. Therefore, be zealous and repent. That's what the Lord says about being disciplined. In Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2, it says, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. Okay? When the righteous rule, the people rejoice. And that's it. Don't worry about God's curses, his lack of blessing. If you are seeking the Lord, you are seeking to do right, you're fine. I want to talk about my book. In concluding, I just wrote a book. It's called Making America Righteous Again, From Bitterness to a Delight. The acronym MARA for Making America Righteous Again, Mara, it's a word that means bitter waters. It's used twice in the Bible. One by Moses when they were in the wilderness and they came upon a body of water. They could not drink it because it was bitter water. They named it Mara for bitter waters. Another occasion is Naomi in the book of Ruth. And she left her home for several years and came back after a drought. And when she came, she told the people, "Don't call me Naomi, call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter." But we know that she actually didn't change her name to Mara. She kept the name Naomi, which actually Naomi means pleasant or a delight. So that's why my book is titled Making America Righteous Again, From Bitterness to a Delight. We need in the United States to turn from the bitterness that we have been experiencing for so long, especially these past 7 years of division amongst us, and even decades longer bitterness. We need to go from bitterness to a delight. And there's a quote from a guy. His last name is Ma, M-A, and he's the CEO or the founder of Alibaba, which is a Chinese company. It's a very brilliant quote, and I wrote it down. And what is his name? Yeah, Jack Ma. He says, changing ourselves is more important and easier than changing the world. And second is that I want to improve the world. If my team are happy, then they can make my customers happy. Isn't that what God is about? Happy is he who loves the law of the Lord. I believe that's either Proverbs or Ecclesiastes. Solomon wrote, happy is he who loves the law of the Lord. And when we're happy, the Bible tells us to be encouraged, to be joyful, to be happy throughout the whole Bible. We're supposed to be the salt of the world. We're supposed to be a light. Jesus said that you cannot hide a light under a bushel. You can't do that. We are to be the light of the world. So be happy. Go from bitterness to a delight. That's what my book is about. 10 chapters. It's a easy read, and it's an e-Kindle form, and it's on Amazon.com. Go to Amazon, and in the search box, search my name, Michael D. Tobin, and you'll come up with the book. And if you purchase that book, it'll actually help a ministry that I work with called God's Extended Hand. They feed the homeless, they clothe the homeless, and they actually house the homeless at certain parts of the year when they can. But they're not certified to be a permanent all year round home for the homeless. But they do throughout the year at different times, as they're given permission by the city or the state. So go to Amazon.com. In the search box, you can search Making America Righteous Again, or you can search my name. It'll come up easier if you search my name. And please purchase it. And that would help me to be able to do the things that if you listen to my other YouTubes, you will see what I am involved with as a Billy Graham Rapid Response Team chaplain. I've been to Louisiana, Texas, New Orleans, Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana, Gross, Texas, couple places in Florida. After Hurricane Ivan, the year in 2003 where the South got whipped by 5 hurricanes in 1 month, first time that's happened in over 100 years. It was devastating. After Hurricane Katrina and Rita, I went to New Orleans and Shreveport and Texas. And I've responded to 2 of San Diego's worst fires in 2003 and 2007. I need to be able to go to Louisiana. I would love to go to Louisiana right now and help with the Billy Graham organization and Franklin Graham Samaritan's Purse. But I have that to offer is my book. And each chapter deals with personal instances on how I have made lemonade out of lemons, or how I went through various oppositions, but regardless, I always stayed to the point and was always available and active in volunteering and helping. It's just a blessing. You have to go to Amazon and check it out. Michael D. Tobin, search it, and my book, Making America Righteous Again, From Bitterness to Delight, will come up. Please go ahead and download that for your Kindle ebook. And you could also help support me through PayPal, and I'll have a link on that. Thank you very much. God bless you, and have a wonderful day.